Welcome to Cities on the Move. I'm your host, Stephanie Passingham. Tonight we'll meet organist Janet Gilbertson. She has been bringing beautiful music to Our Savior's Lutheran Church for 50 years. We'll also have a conversation with Laura Helly and Belita Schindler to learn more about the extensive renovations to the Hormel Historic Home. And finally, we'll explore the newly restored Lost Lake Project with Sue Olson of the Mower County Habitat and Pheasants Forever chapter. We'll have all this and more coming up on Cities on the Move. Janet Gilbertson clearly loves playing the organ. Her dedication to bringing beautiful music to Our Savior's Lutheran Church is inspiring. Let's meet her now.
I'm Janet Gilbertson. I've lived in Austin for 50 years, and all of those 50 years I've been the organist at Our Savior's Lutheran Church. My husband and I came in 1959 because he was hired at the school district as a math teacher and a track coach. And at that time we had 2 little teeny boys, and then our daughter was born 5 years later. I started taking piano lessons when I was in 2nd grade, and then I continued with lessons through high school, went to the University of South Dakota, where I majored in piano and got my master's in piano performance. And in that time, I also started taking organ lessons. On the organ, actually piano was my major instrument, but Bach would be my favorite composer because he not only wrote music for the church service and the liturgy, but he also wrote such a magnificent preludes and fugues, and they're very challenging. When I first started taking organ lessons, one of the hard things was you don't have a sense of touch like you do on a piano. A piano, you can put your fingers down different ways. An organ, you just put the fingers down and it'll play. And so the way you get variety, of course, is by using the different sounds of the organ, the different stops. And that can involve a lot of creativity and decision making. And then, of course, putting the pedal with the 2 hands. It is a process where you have to concentrate, practice, and to take lessons, get advice. The challenging part is to be a good worship leader. I'm not the worship leader, but for the singing of the hymns and the liturgy, and to try to bring it to life every week, try to do something that's a little different. Leading the congregation is a part of my job, and my Christian faith is very important, and so I feel that by my hopefully leading, that'll help in the worship service.
What was the original name of the Northwestern Singers, and when were they organized? Find the answer on ksmq.org.
Well, today we are going to talk about a fun project that has taken place at the Hormel Historic Home, and we have a couple of special guests today. Yeah. Belita Schindler is here with us, as well as Laura Helly. Thanks, gals, for being here.
You're welcome. This is fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Mm-hmm. Well, Laura, you are the director at the Historic Home. Tell us a little bit about the Hormel Home. Give us a little history and kind of where it's located and what takes place there.
Okay, great. We're in downtown Austin, just a block west of Main Street.
The Hormel Historic Home is the home where George Hormel lived when he founded the company. So it was actually not built by George himself. It was built by John Cook in 1871. The Hormels moved in 1901. That would have been George, his wife Lillian, and their son Jay, who at that time was 8 years old. They did some major renovations and got it to the point that it looks like now, with the big pillars out in front and so forth. That was part of their renovations about 1901.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and they hired Harry Wild Jones, who was an architect in the cities, to come down and do all the renovation work.
Okay.
And there's a new book about Harry Wild Jones that's not been out very long. It's really interesting.
Okay, so they did some major renovations when they moved in. Give us a sense of what life was like in that era.
oh, that's a good question. You know, when they moved in, it was gas light, no electricity yet. They were a few years away from having electricity, so even the indoor plumbing would have been a little different. And life for them was pretty much centered around the business. They did a lot of entertaining for the corporation, I suppose. I don't even know if it was a corporation at that time, but they would have the annual stockholders meetings and so forth, and any kind of out-of-town guests or vendors would come to stay or be entertained there. It was also a life of a lot of music. They were a very musical family, and so they had a piano and an organ. It wouldn't be unusual to, you know, at the end of dinner for everybody to have a sing-along and that kind of thing. It's a little different than what we do now to get in front of our big screen TVs and watch a DVD.
Yeah. I've heard a story, and I'm not sure if it's true or if it's really myth, but it's a cute story that George used to ride a horse back and forth from his home to the plant. And if his wife needed the horse, he would just ride it over there, get off, let it go, and it would come home. So I'm not sure if it's true, but it's a great story.
That's a great story. That's a great story. Now, is there anything, we're going to talk about the renovations and additions that have taken place, but when it was turned into a historical home as a tour opportunity, were the original property buildings all there, or had there been some changes to the structure since the Hormels lived there?
You know, we don't have a real solid record of exactly the outbuildings and things that were there. We know that when the Hormels left in 1927, they donated the property to be the YWCA of Austin. And so we have some records of that time, what was there. And that was pretty much exactly how it was up until 1939 when they built the Girl Scout house. Many people remember the Girl Scout house on the north end of the building. And then from 39 forward, there was no changes to the property or the buildings and so forth. So that was the point we were starting at when we were looking into our renovation project.
All right. So. And just give us the basics. The home is open for tours, and tell us about things that you can do if you were to come there and what days they might be open.
Sure, yep. We are open for walk-in tours where you can drop in. They don't need to be scheduled. They're self-guided. We have a booklet that'll walk you through, and that's Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30, and it is year-round. It's best to call ahead, especially if you're traveling from a distance, to just make sure there's no special event on the day you're going to come. We are occasionally closed to tours because of some kind of a special event. So, and then we do also do guided tours. That would be for a group of 10 or more. We'll schedule a guide and bring you through that way. And those, with a guided tour, we could schedule a night or a weekend if people would prefer that. So it's really fun for a lot of class reunions. They like to come through when they're all back in town. It's a nice, Saturday afternoon activity, and we can accommodate those as long as we have a little warning. So
sounds great. Yeah. Now, the property itself is not all that big in downtown area in terms of the garden and everything that you have there. Let's talk a little bit about, you've done some renovations, some additions. What prompted that move?
Sure.
Well, obviously, it's probably financial more than anything else. The revenue just wasn't coming in adequately enough to really keep the house open in the shape it was. So that's the kernel of the idea that got this all started. So.
Okay.
Yep, and Blee is exactly right. With a historic property like that, you don't do a renovation or addition and take it lightly. So we were in a situation where the tourism dollars just were not able to keep us operating throughout the year. And we were seeing that event rentals were a new and better revenue stream for us. They're more year-round, they're more predictable. But the space that we had was pretty limited, and what we call the carriage house, which is formerly the Girl Scout house, was not A-level accommodations. If you plugged in too many things, it would trip the breaker. The heat system was very loud and not very efficient, and it just wasn't a really great space to rent. And so we were more aggressive with our marketing and things for event rentals, and we were seeing more revenue from that, and we felt like we kind of reached a point where we'd maxed it out, where we could only have one event at a time, and the space wasn't really the nicest in town, and so we were looking at renovations. We also needed a kitchen. To serve food there, it needs to be commercially prepared to meet code, and so we were in a situation where everything was being prepared off-site and hauled in for years, and that was very tiresome. So we wanted to add a kitchen and potentially renovate the carriage house. Well, once you started that ball rolling, all of a sudden building a larger space is a lot more feasible.
Yeah. Well, if you just add a kitchen and add no more seating space, you haven't done very much to accomplish your plan. So it grew from there. So.
All right. And so what does the new facility entail that it didn't have before?
Well, we have a wonderful commercial kitchen that all the chefs in the area are drooling over. We have a large space there where we can seat 200 folks, or we can divide it into 3, so we can have 3 areas, 3 different events going on at the same time. Okay. And kind of a grand foyer that looks out over the garden with some really big windows, so it's going to be gorgeous.
Very nice. A lot of additional space.
About 7,000 square feet in all.
Okay.
So,
all right. And how many folks did you say that you could seat now at a function?
200.
200. Okay, so that's a big expansion. Melita, with it being a historic property, you are a designer by trade.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about your design experience and your involvement in this project, and what you have to consider when dealing with a historic property.
Oh, sure. Well, I think it was 1991 that we pulled off the first old wallpaper in the original house and tried to apply things back that might have been more typical for the age. There were very few photographic records of what the house looked like, so we went back and looked at what kinds of things were popular, what was new, and made our choices from that. So.
All right. And does the expansion carry the theme, or have you done more modern design in the expansion area?
We worked really hard to carry the theme, to make it feel like it might have been part of the original house. Dark woodwork, some big chandeliers in the ceiling, choice of fireplace and furniture.
Okay. Now, as Laura has shared with me earlier, this is kind of a labor of love for you.
Oh,
You've done this as a volunteer
yes,
project.
I have.
Tell us why this is so important to you.
Oh, this is why Austin is here. If George Hormel hadn't established the company, none of the other part of the town would have grown either. So, and it's an area that I can help. I have access to carpeting and wall coverings and information like that. So it's just a natural.
All right. Laura, tell us about the team. Obviously, Belita played a huge role in the restoration of this property. What other resources came to bear on the renovation?
The more I reflect on the project and how successful it's been, the more I know it is the particular team that we had together. There is no one person who could have just bowed out and still had it move forward. Our Board of Trustees is chaired by Randy Kramer. He's been very instrumental. Also on our Board of Trustees is Pat Ray. She brought the original vision and really provided a lot of the drive to just get it done. We were lucky to have former Mayor Bonnie Reitz as the co-chair of our capital campaign, and she was aided by Malin Schneider. They both did just an excellent job on the fundraising. So it's been just amazing to me how it has all fit together, and it was the right people, the right project, the right time, and it all just flowed, and it was
really
fun
did.
and
It was
easy.
almost like magic at sometimes.
Yeah.
You go, okay, how can we get this thing? Okay, I'll talk to so-and-so. Oh, gee, will you help? Oh, yeah, I'd be glad to help. And things, just like Laura said, it just fell into place.
Nice.
And so there's a lot of people out there that have a little part of this.
Yes.
We hope they feel some ownership of it, too.
Great.
I have a cute story about Randy Kramer.
Sure.
March 9th was a day that the equipment came to tear down the Girl Scout house. It was cold, it was windy, and they were there really, really early in the morning, and Randy was there, probably 6:30. I came shortly after, and as the machines took the first chunks out of the roof, he looked at me and said, "I guess we jumped out of the plane." And I think that's just the most wonderful comment. It's like, oh boy, here we go.
You're committed now.
We're committed now, right? So, yeah.
And what kind of resources did you need to gather what kind of investment did you make in the facility?
It was a $1.8 million project, and we were able to fundraise all of that before we even started. So that in itself has just been a wonderful accomplishment for our team, and a really good reflection on Austin that they value this asset. They know that this makes Austin special to have a property like this that they can share with all kinds of visitors, and even everybody in Austin can use it. Anybody can rent for a shower or
playing cards or a business meeting or what. And now that we have the bigger space, we can accommodate bigger groups to do those kinds of things. So.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
Now you mentioned the kitchen is kind of the envy of the restaurant community. Are you going to have a kind of resident chef, or will that be available to rent for whomever's catering the event? How does that work?
Yep, that's a great question. We built so that we are a commercial kitchen registered with the state. We've been inspected by the state health department. We could essentially operate a restaurant. However, we didn't want to get in the restaurant business. We didn't want to have our own chef. We didn't want to store food, that kind of thing. So it's a catering kitchen where caterers come in to service the events that are going on. It is also a volunteer kitchen. So it's a hybrid, and we were conscious in the design process that it's not exactly like a church kitchen, a typical volunteer kitchen, but it's also not exactly like a restaurant kitchen. So it's big, which is wonderful for volunteers. There's multiple stations, but it also is a very high-end appliances and the nicer, get quick hot griddle and broiler. And so, yeah, we've really gotten the best of all worlds, I think.
And there will be a closed-circuit TV with one camera aimed at the counter. So if a chef or a teacher is in there cutting up things, you'll be able to see it. There are 2 screens in the meeting room.
Okay.
And then there will also be one over the stove, so that as he goes from the counter to the stove, people can watch what he's doing. And we're hoping to have lots of cooking classes and.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Now you had your open house in November. It was that kind of grand opening. And are you taking bookings for December, January, February?
We absolutely are. Yep, there are still a few openings on the December calendar, and booking through January, February. We are booking weddings like crazy. We have a bridal fair coming up. We're calling it the Austin Wedding Showcase. That's on January 24th. Okay. So any Austin area brides that are looking to find some different information and vendors should plan on stopping in.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah,
it's going to be
great.
fun.
And how do they go about renting the facility? Is that a contact for you, and what is your contact information?
Sure, absolutely. I am the one to see. I'm Laura Helly. The phone is 507-433-4243. My email is hormelhh@smig.net. I'm sure you guys will put that up on the screen for us so they can write it down easily. Yeah, and I can help with talking about rates and the space available, what would work best for their event, all kinds of things. Don't be afraid to call and get a little information to see if it even would work for you.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And with the holiday season upon us, are there any special events that are kind of open to public that are being held at the home?
We scheduled a fundraiser in conjunction with the Paramount Theater with the Veldman and Friends concert. That is sold out.
All right. Well, very good.
So,
people are anxious to see.
To come and have dinner at the Hormel home and then walk the 2 blocks to the Paramount, to the theater.
Yes.
Oh, how very nice.
Yeah, and if it's really cold, we'll probably even have a little shuttle for them, so they won't even have to walk 2 blocks.
You should get a
We'll
horse
have
and
to
carriage.
see.
There we go.
I suggested that. We'll try and talk that committee into that one. A horse and carriage. I think that'd be
Well,
fun.
it sounds like you've done a fabulous job, and I know people, if they didn't get a chance to see it at the grand opening and open house,
Stop
they
in.
will
Stop
love
in.
to even just go through it. Can they see
Sure.
those facilities on the regular tour?
Sure, yep, absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
great.
Yep.
Well, thank you,
You're
gals, for
welcome.
coming by to
Thank you.
visit
You're
about it.
welcome.
You have done a wonderful job, and thank you for all your
Oh,
volunteer
you're
work
welcome.
on this.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, stay tuned for more Cities on the Move coming up. The Lost Lake Waterfowl Production Area is a new resource to area wildlife and outdoor enthusiasts. Let's join Sue Olson to learn more.
Hunting and fishing are 2 of the most popular activities in our region. During the fall season, many orange-clad bodies can be seen enjoying the great outdoors. Thanks to the Mower County Habitat and Pheasants Forever chapter, the number of wildlife areas continues to increase. Their most recent project, the Lost Lake Waterfall Production Area, is open to the public. Sue Olson, president of the local chapter, explains their mission.
Our Pheasants Forever chapter has been working for 10 years to find new ways to enrich the habitat in the area, to increase conservation, to increase education and awareness of the programs that are available for youth and others through both Pheasants Forever and state programs. In order to accomplish our goals, Pheasants Forever has an annual fundraising banquet in the last Saturday of February each year. We take those funds and use them to buy land acquisitions, restore them like we've done with this piece that we're sitting in today. We take the money and use it for youth programs. We've had youth mentored hunts. We've had youth activities that's no charge for the attendees. We dedicate 10% of our chapter's proceeds towards private landowner projects and matching applications and anything else that seems like it would be fitting with our goals.
One of their earlier projects, the Schottler Wildlife Management Area, was a great success.
In 2004, we bought a 165-acre piece of land southeast of Austin. It's now named the Schottler Wildlife Management Area. The Schottler Wildlife Management Area was a piece of farmland, almost a full quarter section, that we completely restored, took out all of the tile, put in some ponds, put in several different types of grass plantings so that there was a variety of habitat available there. That was the first big project that we did. In 2005, we had an opportunity to buy this parcel of land from a private landowner who had it in a set-aside program. It was farmland when we bought it, and it was still farmed for the first year or two that we had the property itself. We put about $25,000 into restoration by taking out the drainage tiles. We put natural seedlings in. The stuff that you see around you was put in by our chapter and has been flourishing for the last couple of years. We put in 2 1-acre shallow ponds that have become good habitat and homes to several ducks and geese.
These reserved areas are especially important for wildlife survival.
For wildlife to be successful in a newly restored piece of habitat, there needs to be 3 things. The first one, and the most important, is cover. They have to have somewhere to be able to get away from the elements. Thick grasses like this where pheasants and deer can burrow down into it. They need to have water. The ponds that we put in that are excellent for ducks and geese also have almost highways that are walked through by the animals in the area coming to and from the watering hole, and they need to have food sources. All of these things that are in this land contain little bits that all of the animals around here can eat, so there's everything that they need is here.
The Lost Lake Project is a part of an overall corridor of habitat in Mower County.
There are several parcels of property that kind of line up, ones that have either been set aside by private landowners and that are still owned by the private landowners. There's also sections that have been purchased and bought up and turned over to public hunting like this one. Animals in general do much better when there is more than one place for the habitat to live. If this was the only piece of habitat in the area, while it would be a really good home for many animals, if there's hunting pressure in this area, they don't have somewhere else to go.
The public lands can be enjoyed year-round by hunters and non-hunters alike.
Hunting is open at Lost Lake during all the regular seasons. The property itself is open year-round, but if it's pheasant season, you can come out for pheasant hunting. If it's duck and goose season, you can come out for that. If you are coming out to a wildlife area like this that is open to public hunting, the first thing to check is anyone else there? If there is, you need to be extremely careful because you know that they're there, but they may not know that you are. And it's a good idea during all public hunting seasons to wear blaze orange. At least a hat, a vest, gloves, something that would show up above the height of the grasses that you're walking in. I am a part of the Pheasants Forever organization because our chapter raises money and it stays right here in Mower County. We've put almost $700,000 into Mower County alone in 10 years. 815 acres have been impacted by our work, 21 different projects. We're not going to stop now.
As the chapter continues to support conservation in Mower County, area residents will enjoy more great places to get outdoors.
The holiday season is full of wonderful events for you and your family to enjoy. Here are some great ones. Catch the Christmas spirit with strolling Dickens characters as they bring Christmas past to life. There's a free trolley or horse-drawn carriage rides during Clear Lake, Iowa's Christmas by the Lake on December 4th through the 6th. The weekend also includes the Festival of Trees. Enjoy the lighted parade on Saturday night starting at 5 p.m., ending the evening with fireworks reflecting off Clear Lake. For more information, visit clearlakeiowa.com. Goodview, Minnesota will be hosting a holiday lighted parade at 5:30 p.m. on Saturday, December 5th. The 8th annual Holiday Lighted Parade will begin at 41st Avenue and 6th Street and ends at 44th Avenue near the Elks Lodge. This year's holiday celebration theme is A Salute to the Military. For more information, please contact Linda Taylor at 507-452-5334. For young ladies, the Winona Historical Society will be hosting an American Winona Girl Tea on Saturday, December 12th. Grace Watkins King was the daughter of J.R. Watkins, the founder of the Watkins Company. And learn about her fascinating life of big game hunts in Africa, shooting with Annie Oakley, and helping her family become successful business owners. A traditional Christmas tea will be held from 1 to 3 p.m. and cost is $12 per girl and $10 per accompanying adult. The tea is designed for girls 8 and older. The Mankato Ballet Company proudly presents The Nutcracker on December 19th and 20th. This year is the Mankato Ballet's 24th annual production of the area's original classic. Don't miss out on this wonderful event your whole family will enjoy, and tickets are available at twinriverarts.org. If you have an event to share, please visit our website, ksmq.org, and tell us all about it. Next week, members of the Crossroads Community Hospice Program will join us to talk about the important services offered by area hospice organizations. Teresa Ean will spin some fabulous yarn and share her love of fiber arts. And will join the crowd of lutefisk lovers at the Emmons Lutheran Church annual lutefisk dinner to learn more about this area tradition. Please join us Tuesday, December 8th at 6:30 p.m. for another edition of Cities on the Move. I'm your host, Stephanie Passingham. Good night.
Production of this program is made possible in part through a grant from the Blandin Foundation.